Hey everybody, Mike with Games Played Badly, and today on Session 0 I have an amazing author by the name of Terry Herc. He has a ton of stuff up on DMsguild and DriveThroughRPG, and he is a kind soul and was absolutely a joy to talk to. He has a Kickstarter coming out. That interview starts now. Hi Terry, how are you?
I'm great, Mike. How are you?
Very good. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. We've been trying to schedule something, and I'm glad it all finally panned out. Mostly on my end, but I was kind of excited to talk to you today because I took a look at some of your products up on DM's Guild. It looks like there's about 15 pieces up there, and all of them look really, really good.
Thank you. Yeah, I was writing for the DMsguild for the last couple of years. I've been doing some stuff on DriveThroughRPG lately, and I've actually got a really exciting project coming up that I'm really looking forward to.
As spoilers?
Well, so a couple of years ago, a good friend and I, John, we did a Kickstarter for a collection of short adventures. And now myself and another friend, Jerry, we're doing a follow-up Kickstarter. So in just a few short days, we're going to be launching beautiful Rottenham on Kickstarter.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited actually. So we've worked on some GM campaign toolkit type things. So the idea is that we sort of create a framework for game masters to apply to their own campaign without creating stuff with too much structure.
And so these are going to be a collection of short adventures or short adventure stories.
Yeah, so they're short encounters that you can put into your own game, and there's also some NPCs, locations, a bunch of magic items, and some spells too, which I think would be really fun.
Oh yeah, that sounds great. But as far as the locations go, are you working within the confines of a campaign setting, or is this homebrew?
Yeah, the idea is that you'd be able to put it in any campaign. So the city location is on like sort of a river that arrives at the ocean. So the whole city is built with these, teetering towers that have been built on top of one another over years, and they're all sinking into the muck. So there's this above ground area that you can have your characters in, and then there's sort of an underground area as well.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
So how long have you been writing D&D based stuff?
So I've been publishing for 4 years now. And if I kind of look back, I think more and more that I've really been writing for a lot of years. I just called it campaign prep for so long. It's so surprising. True. Yeah, I mean, I've got folders and folders of notes that I've collected over the years, and it's just shocking how much of an output that I've had over time.
Yeah, I totally understand that. I mean, I think you're absolutely right. If you've ever DM'd, you've been writing for a very long time. I mean, just the amount of notebooks of stuff that I have.
Yeah, and it's always great to be able to go back and reference some of that material because it's surprising how often you can reuse a bit here and there and use it to add to your campaign without having to reinvent everything, every single time.
Oh yeah, I completely agree. How long have you played D&D?
I started in sort of right when second edition was turning into third edition. So that would have been in the, I guess, the mid to late 90s and around there. And I skipped fourth edition actually just sort of by chance. I was doing some moving and those sorts of things. And when fifth edition came out, it was kind of like this big rediscovery for me. It was and it's amazing too because it's sort of at a time when everyone's sort of rediscovering Dungeons and Dragons, like with their kids or their old groups. They're looking to get back together, and it's just like an amazing time as of late.
I agree. Yeah, the pandemic is, I mean, as bad as it is and has been for people, as far as the tabletop role playing community, it's been again like a revival.
Yeah, and honestly, it's really exciting for me to be able to be even just a small part of that. Like there are so many talented creators, so many rising stars, And the DMs Guild was actually a really great place to be involved with a lot of people like that. Like there's so many people that I've sort of made connections with or collaborated with, or I've even been able to produce pieces with others. So I'm working as an editor right now, actually, on a Kickstarter that just finished. It's called Incredible Creatures.
Okay.
So it's a collection of creatures inspired by artwork, and that's a
cool.
project. Yeah, actually, it was kind of an innovative idea. So the creator Alan, he sourced like 20 different pictures from different artists. And then he had sort of an ensemble cast create stat blocks inspired by each of the pictures. So the idea is that you would see, like a fire giant, but there would be, different inspired stat blocks for different tiers. So if you were a GM, you could look through the book and you'd say, okay, I'm looking for, something that's really heavy that's inspired by this one. And there's a bunch of stat blocks you can select from.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just so many creative people out there, and they create things that I would have thought of. I mean, I guess that's what makes them creative people.
Yeah, definitely.
So as of now, out of the pieces that you've created, what would you say is your favorite?
Actually, you know what? It's my favorite for sure is Artifacts of the Guild. So this was a sort of a community collaboration that we did on the guild. So the DMs Guild, I should say. So Emmett Bine, who is now really a big developer for the new Warhammer RPG in Ireland. So he had put together a group of people where everyone would submit magic items. And kind of long story short, the final days of the project, I really had a chance to help sort of lead it to completion. But it was so great because I got to work with such like a diverse group of people, like different styles, different writing styles, different flavors. Like some had like a really grim approach to the game, and then others had like a very, humorous, like it was just such a wild spectrum. And it was so wonderful to be able to bring that together. And we got it in print. It was just an amazing project, start to finish.
That sounds like a lot of fun. Sounds like
it was a total blast, honestly. Yeah.
So I mean, if there was one thing that people don't know about creating content like this, what would that one thing be?
It takes a lot of energy. All the time I spent doing prep for games and writing for games and coming up with great ideas for my home group. It's sort of a small stage in that there's an audience of 5 or 6 people that you really want to shine for. And when you're creating something for a larger audience, it puts a lot of, could be pressure on yourself to try to make it the best it can ever be. And that can be tough, especially if you're, used to having things sort of exist once for 3 hours on a beautiful Thursday evening with some friends.
Right.
But, when it's on the internet forever, it's like, oh man, like I really want it to be amazing. And there's tons of amazing stuff, but I find sometimes that pressure can bog people down, and perfect is the enemy of the good sometimes.
Right. I completely agree with that.
We can be proud of things that are not 100% perfect. That like every major artist in the history of the world has blemishes or things. Oh, maybe I would have done that differently. Like that's art. That's part of the beauty. And that's kind of what I really liked about Artifacts of the Guild was I got to see people, bringing forward different ideas that I never would have thought of. I don't think in the same way as this creative person. Right. And then, in an editing role, I had the chance to help them, shine that gem and make it even more beautiful. That's the hard part sometimes by writing just by yourself, is you don't have someone else to bounce ideas off of or, get positive reinforcement or encouragement to improve an area.
Yeah, I think that's very true. I mean, I know through my own writings and various campaign stuff that I do, having another set of eyes would be not terrible, but that's the other thing about it. It's like, when you write as a DM, you're writing for a very select group of people,
Yeah.
and you're tailoring it to their needs and wants and things like that. But there is no one who can look over your shoulder and say, I wouldn't use that, use this. So that collaboration is something that's not normally a DM thing. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, DMing is a very solo endeavor most of the time.
Yep.
And yeah, one thing I've learned lately is, I work really well when I'm in like a pair or a small group.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of a great thing about, the DMs Guild or writing for DriveThroughRPG is there's so many other creative people that you can meet. And sometimes, they have just that same wavelength and that magic happens.
Right. That's kind of so I just started gaming um with a group that I
Hmm.
met through Twitter, and we're all DMs. And so what we're going to actually be doing is we're going to be playing the adventure Power of the Mad Mage or whatever it is. I can't
Yeah,
remember what it's
yeah, yeah.
called. Yeah. And I've never played it before, so I'm like this should be cool. But we're all going to DM. So
Oh, awesome.
we're going to switch DM roles. Basically every floor DM's
Oh,
gonna take
very
one
cool.
floor, and they're like 23 floors, so or something like that. So I mean, like, but we're gonna rotate through those, so we have a different DM. So that's going to be interesting because you're gonna have different perspectives. Um,
Absolutely.
and like there's some, and what we did as part of this collaborative effort was we wrote our backstories, and the DM had provided us with kind of some pre-written questions that we were going to fill out, and as we were sitting there talking about our backstories, you could see the bonds forming and what
Yeah,
characters were. And it was such a cool, it gives me goosebumps, but it's such a cool thing to watch. It was pretty
absolutely.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, like that's magic. That's the thing that I have missed so much in this last year is being able to experience that in person at the table. Like
Right.
that's what I love so much about tabletop role playing is you get that magic with, the interaction between your characters and your friends and you get to tell this awesome story.
Mhm.
Like honestly, Mike, I'm so envious. That sounds like it's going to be a wicked game.
Did I see that one of your modules was written in Russian or Polish?
Yeah, so a fellow on the DMs Guild. So there was a group that I was a part of on Facebook. It was called the DMs Guild Creator Circle,
Oh, okay.
and this is going back a few years. It's defunct now. But one of the fellows that I had met was doing translations into Polish.
Ah.
And he asked if we would do a translation of one of my adventures. So it's an 8th level adventure with like some dragons in it.
Mhm.
And yeah, so it was my first kind of alternate language one.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I was pretty
When somebody
excited.
wants to translate your stuff, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was kind of like, oh, I've arrived.
Well, and it's funny because I grew up in a very Polish neighborhood in Chicago. So
Oh yeah,
when I saw that, I was like, I think that's Polish.
yeah.
So
Yeah. And like I say, I mean, it's just such a diverse group of people that love this game.
yeah,
Just so many
yeah,
different folks.
yeah. I couldn't agree more. And I meet more and more interesting people by the day. And I'm lucky that people. I'm nobody. So it's like you have some stranger go, "Hey, you want to do a interview with somebody who doesn't mean anything to anybody, but you can talk on camera." And people have been so happy to do that, and they take it seriously, and they give me um, good stuff to work with, and I'm so happy with that. But again, through that, I meet so many great people. It's incredible. Day after
Yeah,
day after day, I meet them.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And part of it, I think, is, and this is what I've, um, struggle is not quite the word I want to use, but, through my life, I've not really been very outgoing.
Hmm.
And having something like D&D where I can sort of get a connection to other people, now we have a common language. We've got something we can talk about and it's something that I feel like passionate about.
Hmm.
So it's
Yeah.
like I can be enthusiastic about the thing that I love. That is, I'll be honest, a newer thing for me. Like even just you know, I would say a few short years ago, that was a new experience.
Mhm.
And, writing on the DMs Guild, being part of these communities online, it really has changed that part of my life. It gives me this creative output where I can make something and people can get joy from it.
Mhm.
Like, that's
Yeah,
so
right.
cool.
It is. It very much is. Yeah. I had started possibly a collaboration with somebody for adventures, doing like they would do some stuff and I would do some stuff. We just kind of put them together and I didn't want any money for it. I mean, they have a Patreon up already. I'm like, we can just collaborate on stuff. You take it and do whatever you want with it, but just to have that collaboration.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just it really hasn't started yet, but hopefully soon. There are a couple of map makers that I've talked to. I'm like, I really want to do some work with you. Like, I can write the story and then you can build the maps for me, all the encounter maps and everything, and we can just I mean, I'm not looking at that aspect of it as a money making endeavor. But I guess it could be. But I'm seeking that connection
Absolutely. Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
mean, good.
Well, I was just going to say that, the money making endeavor, I feel like, you know, this is, in some sense, it's like a cottage industry. There's it for me, it's fun first, but I can say for sure that from the material that I published on the DMs Guild, it's definitely softened the blow of all the stuff I bought over the years,
Yeah,
right?
right,
So I mean, don't give up on that dream, right? I
right,
mean, it probably won't make you a millionaire, but hey, if it makes you a little bit of coin here and there
right,
to buy a book or a PDF or whatever, go
right.
for it.
Yep, 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 yep. All right, so your Kickstarter launches on Tuesday. Um, I am interested to see. I really wish I'd known about your previous Kickstarter because that sounded like a really cool one too.
Yeah, it was really fun. It got a lot of backers. And good news is, actually, if you are interested in that, you can get those rewards as part of this campaign as well.
Oh, very cool. All right, yeah, I
Yeah.
got to look at that. Now, is your last Kickstarter available for purchase on DM's Guild? I mean, is that stuff out there or yeah, where would people find that?
Yeah, so the first campaign was the Professor Humbert Drumsley Adventure Codex, and you
Okay.
can get that today on DriveThroughRPG. So we've got
Okay.
it in PDF, softcover, and hardcover.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, and our new campaign is Professor Humbert Drumsley, Beautiful Rottenham.
Yeah,
So,
right. Very cool.
yeah.
All right, I do this little thing with people. It's silly and stupid, but it's a quick fire round. I ask you a question, you just give me an answer, and you can expound on it if you want to. You can just leave it flat. I don't care. But
Love it.
I ask super easy ones, softball questions, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, onion rings or French fries?
French fries,
Yeah. Do you put anything on them, or you just like them plain?
mustard, lots of mustard.
Oh, good. I like mustard. That's a good
Yeah.
answer. Have you ever tried it with mayonnaise?
Oh, yeah. I actually spent some time in Holland in my younger days. So, yeah, mayonnaise is like the Dutch national dish, I think.
Yeah. Oh, I love mayonnaise so much.
Me
But then
too.
again, I mean, you're up in Canada, so you've got poutine, which is the most amazing thing
Yeah.
ever.
I mean, I guess I should have said not French fries or onion rings. It's poutine for sure.
Yeah, right, right. Chocolate or vanilla?
Ooh, vanilla.
Oh. I've
Yeah.
met more people recently that don't like chocolate. I'm not saying you don't like chocolate, but there are people I know who just flat out hate chocolate. I'm like, how can you not like chocolate?
Yeah, I love chocolate, but it's got to be like a real dark, dark chocolate.
Yeah.
And I was thinking ice cream, to be honest. So I prefer vanilla ice cream.
Spring or fall?
Spring,
Yeah.
growth, flowers, beauty.
I immediately when I think about spring, I think about allergies.
Oh yeah. Oh geez. I've had a runny nose all day. It's, yeah, I think we get this thing in Canada. It's called snow mold. I don't know
Oh,
if that, yeah. So all the snowbanks and stuff, they get like mold in them. And then when they start to melt, there's usually allergies in, like, May,
that
March,
sounds
that
like
kind of time.
a good idea for D&D monsters, snow
Oh
mold.
man, let me make my notes here. Hold
Yeah, right,
on.
exactly. A book or movie?
Book.
Yeah.
Yeah, I books are where my heart's at for sure.
Yeah. I I think I agree with everybody on that, but I would imagine there are some people who are like, I don't want to read the book. I'd rather watch the movie.
Yeah, definitely. And
You know?
sometimes it's nice to do both. Like
Mhm.
The Lord of the Rings was fun to read, and it
Right.
was amazing to see it on the screen too.
Yes. That was by far the coolest thing I'd seen as far as a book adaptation in a long time. It was
Absolutely.
very, very cool. I mean, it just kind of reinforced the way I thought about it. I mean, I think in my mind it wasn't nearly as epic as the movie was, but
Yeah,
still really good.
absolutely.
Beer or wine?
Wine. Yeah, yeah. A nice dry white wine.
Okay. All right, there we go. Well, Terry, it was awesome having you on. I cannot wait to see what the Kickstarter does. I'll definitely be looking into it myself, especially if it comes with your first project in it, because that way it's like a double bang for your buck, right?
Yeah, definitely. It'd be wonderful to have you a backer, and anyone that wants to check it out on Tuesday, March 9th, you can find it on Kickstarter.
Yeah, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to link to it. In the people check the links or the description below. I'll put links to everything, to everything that Terry's done on the DMs Guild and DriveThroughRPG, and also the Kickstarter when it goes live. I just wanted to say thank you again for joining me. I cannot wait to see everything go crazy, and I know your Kickstarter is going to be fantastic, and I'm looking forward to using your materials.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. I really appreciate you having me on. Thank you so much.
Not a problem. Anytime. And if you ever have an update and you want to come back and talk to us, or you have another Kickstarter, or you're releasing more stuff, we're always here. And
Awesome.
by we, I mean me. I always talk about we. Yeah, it's kind of weird. All right. Take care, Terry.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bye.